Good morning, my dear students. See, in this video, we are going to discuss about some important questions for half-yearly examination. Okay, both science students and math students listen very carefully. So, in the next week, you are going to write the half-yearly examination, and your test portion is first 5 chapters. Okay, reproduction in organism to molecular genetics. Okay, so the first 5 chapters your exam portion. So my dear students, now I say some important question answers. You mark all these question answers in your book and study well. Okay, see, in the 5 chapters, in all these 5 chapters, the 1 mark question is taken from inside and also from the evaluation section. Okay, at the end of the every lessons or every chapter, one evaluation sections are there. There also some 1 mark questions are there. So 1 mark questions are taken from inside and also from the evaluation section. Okay, so okay, now I say some important 2 mark and 3 mark question answers. So listen very carefully. In the first chapter, okay, many 1 mark questions, 2 mark question and 3 mark question, 5 mark questions are there. The important 2 mark questions are karyokinesis. The first question is karyokinesis, then cytokinesis. So these two are the important 2 mark question answers. Then repeated fission, okay, with the example repeated fission, then strobilation, plasmatomy, sporulation, then budding, fragmentation, exogenous budding, then gemmules. So these are the some of the 2 mark question. Then in the next page, morphallaxis, epimorphosis, and 2 types of epimorphosis. Then in the sexual reproduction heading, many 2 mark questions are there. For example, external fertilization, internal fertilization, autogamy, exogamy, cologamy, padogamy, merogamy, isogamy, and isogamy. Okay, so these are the some of the important 2 mark questions here. Then in parthenogenesis also, natural parthenogenesis. What is natural parthenogenesis? Then complete parthenogenesis, incomplete parthenogenesis, then parthenogenesis, paedogenetic parthenogenesis. Okay, so these are the important 2 mark question answers. Okay, these are the important 2 mark questions of this lesson. Then now I say the 3 mark question answers and 5 mark question answers. The first very important 5 mark question is the types of binary fission. Okay, types of binary fission. For example, the simple irregular binary fission, transverse binary fission, longitudinal binary fission, and oblique binary fission. So this is the first 5 mark question, the types of binary fission, and you have to draw the diagram also for 5 mark question. Understand, my dear students? Then next 3 mark question answers. Okay, budding, fragmentation. Okay, budding, fragmentation, and regeneration. Budding, fragmentation, regeneration, then conjugation, phases of life cycle. Phases of life cycle. These are the 3 mark question answers. Then next one more 3 mark question. The types of different types of natural parthenogenesis. Different types of natural parthenogenesis. Understand, my dear students? So we have completed now some 2 mark question answers, 3 mark question answers, and 1 5 mark question from this first chapter. Understand a few? Then, so already I told you the backside evaluation question. I have asked the question from the evaluation sections also. Then, second chapter, human reproduction. So in this lesson also, the first 2 mark question is the first page. The reproductive system has 4 main functions. So what are the functions of reproductive system? So this is one of the 2 mark question. Then the major reproductive events in human beings are as follows. One line is there. So there are 9 events are there. Gametogenesis, insemination, fertilization, cleavage, like that 9 events are there. All these events are very, very important for 2 mark question, and altogetherly this question is very important for 5 mark question. Understand a few? Understand? So gametogenesis, insemination, fertilization, cleavage, then implantation, placentation, gastrulation, organogenesis, parturition. So these are the separately I ask these questions for 2 mark question, and togetherly it is one of the very important 5 mark question. Understand a few? Then the human reproductive system. in that topic, one important 2-mark question is there. Many 2-mark questions are there. For example, which organ acts as a thermoregulator? Okay, which organ of the human reproductive system is acting as a thermoregulator? Answer is scrotum. So this is one of the very important 1-mark question. Like that, many 1-mark questions are there. Understand a few? Then the 2-mark questions. The functions of Sertolic cells. Okay, functions of Sertolic cells. Near the picture, the question is there. Sertolic cells are elongated and pyramidal and provide nourishment to the sperm till maturation. They also secrete inculin. So this is the function of the Sertolic cells. Understand a few? Then the accessory duct of the male reproductive systems. Accessory duct of the male reproductive system. Ratty testis, vas efferentia, epididymis, vas deferens. So this is one of the 2-mark question. Okay, this is one of the 2-mark questions. Then accessory glands of the male reproductive system. Accessory glands of the male reproductive system is the next 2-mark question. Example, seminal vesicle, bulbourethral gland, otherwise called Cowper's glands, and single prostate gland. So these are the accessory glands of the male reproductive system. So this is also one of the 2-mark questions. Then the semen, explain semen. Okay, so this is a 2-mark question. Semen is a seminal fluid. Semen or seminal fluid is a milky white fluid which contains sperms and seminal plasma. Okay, so this is a 2-mark question answers. Then the structure of fallopian tube. The structure of fallopian tube is one of the very important 3-mark question. Okay, from fimbriae till uterus. So this region is called fallopian tube region. So the structure of this fallopian tube is one of the very important 3-mark question. Then next, the one important 3-mark question, mammary gland. Structure of mammary gland. So it is one of the very important 3-mark question. And the first 5-mark question, the next 5-mark questions of the second chapter is spermatogenesis. So 5-mark question, you have to draw the diagram also. Okay, here in this page both spermatogenesis and oogenesis diagrams are there. So if I ask spermatogenesis question, you have to write the answer and you have to draw the diagram for spermatogenesis. Then the structure of spermatozoa is very important 5-mark question. And the diagram, structure of human sperm diagram is very important for 2-mark question. The next 5-mark question, oogenesis. Okay, oogenesis is the next 5-mark question. And structure of ovum is very important 3-mark question. Okay, structure of ovum is very important 3-mark question. Then structure of human ovum diagram 2-mark question. Structure of human ovum diagram important 2-mark question. And the next very important 2-mark question is menstrual cycle. Many 1-mark questions are there, and this question very important 5-mark question. Understand all of you? Understand? Then next, fertilization and implantation. So in this topic the first question is capacitation. Okay, the first question is capacitation. Then the next question is acrosomal reaction. Next 2-mark question is acrosomal reaction. Then one question is there, how the polyspermy is prevented. We can ask one question like this, how polyspermy is prevented. Okay, so the answer is, once the fertilization is accomplished, cortical granules from the cytoplasm of the ovum form a barrier called fertilization membrane around the ovum, preventing the further penetration of other sperm. Thus polyspermy is prevented. So it is one of the very important 2-mark question. Understand all of you? Then next, blastocyst, tropoblast. So these two are the 2-mark questions. These two are 2-mark questions. Then next 2-mark question is the extra embryonic membrane of human uterus. The extra embryonic membrane. Name the extra embryonic membrane. Amnion, yolk sac, allantois, scoria. So this is the answer of this 2-mark question. Okay. Then the next page, many 1-mark questions are there. Many 1-mark questions are there, and some 2-mark questions also there. For example, a labor. Define labor. Baxter-Hicks contraction. Then fetal ejection reflex or Ferguson reflex, very important 2-mark question. Understand of you? Then the next 2 mark question is after birth. The next 2 mark question is after birth. Then the same page, let down reflex. Let down reflex is a 2 mark question, and colostrum is very important for 3 mark question. Colostrum is very important for 3 mark question. Understand of you? Then the next page, interesting facts. One heading is there. There are some 1 mark questions also there. Don't forget to study these 1 mark questions. Understand, my dear students? So now we have completed the important questions of first 2 chapters. Then take 3rd chapter. The 3rd chapter, the first 3 mark question is major task carried out by this RCH program or family planning program. The first 3 mark questions. Totally 5 points are there. It's very important for 3 mark question. Then the first 5 mark question is birth control methods. Birth control method is the first 5 mark questions, and many 2 mark, 1 mark questions also there. Sometimes some important methods may be asked for 3 mark. Okay, 3 mark question. Then in permanent birth control, 2 important 2 mark questions are there. Tubectomy and vasectomy. Tubectomy and vasectomy both are very important 2 mark question. The next important 3 mark question is MTP. Medical termination of pregnancy is very important 3 mark question answers. Understand of you? Then the next page, the prevention of STD. How the sexually transmitted diseases are prevented is very important for 2 mark question. Understand of you? Then the 5 mark question, the sexually transmitted diseases and symptoms. Okay, sexually transmitted diseases and symptoms. In first tabular column, bacterial sexually transmitted diseases are there, and the second tabular column, viral sexually transmitted diseases are there. So in the third column, some fungal sexually transmitted diseases, and in the fourth column, some protozoan sexually transmitted disease also there. So these questions are 5 mark and 2 mark question and 1 mark question. For example, the causative organism of the diseases and the incubation periods are very important for 1 mark question. Understand of you? Then next important 5 mark question is cervical cancer. Okay, explain cervical cancer is the important 5 mark question. Then next 3 mark question, the causes of infertility. The causes of infertility. Understand of you? Then next question is very important for 5 mark, 3 mark and 2 mark. 1 mark also. Assisted reproductive technology. Okay, sometimes I will ask this question togetherly for 5 mark question, separately all the techniques separately for 2 mark question answers. For example, intrauterine insemination is a 2 mark question. Then intrazygote, intrafallopian transfer 2 mark question. Okay, so like this 2 mark questions also may be asked. Understand? Then the next page, 3 3 mark questions are there. Sorry, 3 2 mark questions are there. Amniocentesis, then chronic villus sampling CVS and fetoscope. Understand, my dear students? So in this chapter also we have completed now some, I have said some important 1 mark question, 2 mark questions, 3 mark questions also. Then the 4th chapter, principles of inheritance and variations. Okay, the first question is ABO blood type. Example for multiple allelism. It is very important for 5 mark question. Study well. Then RH factor. RH factor 3 mark question. Fisher and Ray's hypothesis 3 mark question. Weiner hypothesis is the 2 mark question. Then erythroplastosis fetalis. Erythroplastosis fetalis is the very important 5 mark questions. Then the next 5 mark question is sex determination in human being. Sex determination in human beings. The next 5 mark question. Then next 2 mark question is kin selection. And the next 2 mark question is Hollandric gene. Okay, kin selection, Hollandric gene. Then haplodiploidy in honeybee. Haplodiploidy in honeybee is very important for 3 mark question. Understand, my dear students? Then the next 5 mark question is inheritance of X-linked genes. Inheritance of X-linked genes. Hemophilia, color blindness. So these two are the example for X-linked genes. Togetherly very important for 5 mark question. Then karyotyping 2 mark question. Applications of karyotyping 3 mark question. Pedigree analysis 2 mark question. Then Mendelian disorder very important for 5 mark question. Thalassemia, phenylketonuria, albinism, Huntington, chorea. So this is very important for 5 mark question. Then autosomal aneuploidy in human beings. The Down syndrome and Pato syndromes are 2 mark question. Then Klinefelter syndrome 2 mark question. Turner syndrome also 2 mark question. Understand, a few, my dear students? So now we have completed the 4th chapter also. Then already I told you in the backside evaluation section many 1 mark questions and 2 mark questions also there. I have asked some 2 mark questions from the evaluation sections also. Then the last chapter, molecular genetics. So it's a very big chapter. So in this lesson many question answers are there. Okay, so listen very carefully. The first 5 mark question is 1 mark questions. I cannot say now. Already I told you the 1 mark question is asked from inside and also from the evaluation section. So the first 5 mark question is the characters of the gene. Okay, characters of gene. Totally 6 points are there. 6 points are very important for this 5 mark question. First 5 mark question. Then next 5 mark question is Hershey and Chase experiment on T2 bacteriophage. Hershey and Chase experiment on T2 bacteriophage is the next 5 mark question. Next 5 mark question. Then next 5 mark question is properties of genetic material. Okay, before that, properties of genetic material, chemistry of nucleic acid, one topic is there. Many 1 mark questions are also there. Many 1 mark questions are there. So study well. Then the first next 5 mark question is properties of genetic materials. It is very important for 5 mark question. Then 2 mark questions. Genophore, nucleosome, then keystone ectomer. So these are the important 2 mark questions. Next very important 5 mark question is enzymes and mechanism of replication. Enzymes and mechanism of replication. Okay, so there are also 2 mark questions are there. Sorry, 3 2 mark questions are there. First one is origin of replication. Origin of replication. Define origin of replication. The 2 mark question. Define leading strand and lagging strand. Okay, there are one important 1 mark questions also there. Okazaki fragment. It is very important for 1 mark question. Then next 5 mark question is transcription. Next 5 mark question is transcription. There are also some 2 mark questions are there. The regions of transcription units. What are the regions of transcription units? A promoter region, structural gene and terminator. First 2 mark question. Then Tata box, Pripnov box. These 2 also 2 mark question answers. Then process of transcription. The process of transcription is very important for 5 mark question. There are also some 2 mark questions also there. The exon, introns, splicing, capping, tailing. So these are the 2 mark questions of this topic. Then next important 5-mark question is salient features of genetic code. Salient features of genetic code, very important 5-mark question, and some 1-mark questions also there. Example, the 8th point, AUG has dual function. So this codon is example for dual function codon. So 1-mark question is there. So like that many 1-mark questions are there. Then the structure of tRNA. Next 5-mark question, structure of tRNA with diagram. The next 5-mark question is mechanism of translation. Mechanism of translation. There are many 2-mark questions also there. For example, untranslational region UTR. Then Shine-Dalgarno sequence, ST sequence is the next 2-mark question. So mechanism of translation is very important for 5-mark question. Then next 3-mark question is structure of operon. Structure of operon is very important 3-mark question, and structure of lac operon is very important for 5-mark question. Next 3-mark question is goals and methodologies of Human Genome Project. The goals of Human Genome Project is very important for 3-mark question, goals. Then next 5-mark question is salient features of Human Genome Project. Salient features of Human Genome Project is the next 5-mark question. Then the last question of this 5th chapter is application of DNA fingerprinting. Application of DNA fingerprinting. Understand, my students? So this is very important 3-mark question. So now we have, I said all the important 2-mark questions, 3-mark questions and 5-mark questions in first 5 chapters. So your half-yearly exam portion is first 5 chapters. So all study well. If you have any doubt in these questions, you can ask me over phone. Understand all of you? So all study well, write well, and try to take a very good mark. Okay, all the best. Thank you.